Hi, my name is Julie Krause. I am the director and the president of CCCMT.
And I'm Bruce. I'm the technical director for CCCMT.
And I'm Wendy, and I am the executive director.
Why did you pick SpongeBob for the summer show?
I'm going to take it. I'll take it. Yeah, unless you want to. So we actually had the opportunity to go and see it in Hurricane, and really had never seen it before, didn't know anything about it. And actually, Bruce and I both, during the entire show, were like, oh my gosh, we could do this. We could do this. And one of the reasons that, for me, I think that this is such a great show for our group is it has so many specialty numbers and so many opportunities for kids outside of like your main cast, and I loved that. I also loved the music. I think that one of the things that's so cool about it is it's so eclectic. There's this kind of music over here and then this kind of music, and obviously the fact that it's written by all these different famous artists is really neat. So it gives our kids opportunity to try all sorts of different styles. So that was for me. We just were whispering to each other the whole time. Like, oh, we love
and that's
this.
exactly, we would have never thought of doing it before we saw it. And so when we saw it, we're like, oh, we can do that. Mm-hmm. And then we thought about our obstacles and stuff. And that's why we waited a little bit. And then we're like, no, I think we totally can do it.
Because one of the things we always have to keep in mind for our summer show is the fact that we anticipate we're going to have a couple of hundred kids, and not every show works for that. So, a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you do this? Like, well, we can't, it just doesn't work with that many children. So we always have to be mindful of the shows that we choose, because not everything works with that large of a cast.
What is the message of SpongeBob?
Well, one of the messages that we find in SpongeBob is that it's about inclusion and creating or finding the better cause, finding the better good in people, and how we can work together to make things better.
What's the difference between the musical and the cartoon?
A lot.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the characters are the same, but, when you pop in the music and, and they've got kind of a funky, funny scenario, obviously they're, they have an underwater volcano that's going to destroy their home. That's obviously cartoonish in a way. But when you, step back and you look at it, there's all this seriousness in the musical that you don't see as much in the cartoon. Obviously. And it's not that it's not fun, but like the themes that we already talked about are super, super important. Like, there's the section where, they're bullying and they're chastising, or blaming somebody for things that happened. Things that happen in real life, and we're showcasing that in the show. And that's something I don't think you see in the cartoon. The cartoon's obviously meant to be silly and not that this isn't. There's times when this is super silly, and obviously we want that. But I think that this has a deeper meaning, and when you add in that music, it's just a wow.
Did you dislike the musical at first, and what made you like it?
I didn't.
It wasn't a dislike, so let me say that. I was also there with them when we went to watch it in Hurricane, and it was amazing. I loved it. I walked away and I was like, that was so good. But I also deal with a lot of the parents that they don't have to deal with, and I got a lot of pushback the year previous just on Shrek that, we can't do that. We can't do that. Because a lot of people, when we even tell them we're doing SpongeBob, are just like, ew, SpongeBob? And I've seen that face. I've seen that look. I've seen the cringiness. And so I don't know how to get over that.
To say that it's not the cartoon.
To say that it's not the cartoon. And so that's, I think, why we waited a few years. And I was kind of always the one like, no, we're not ready. We're not ready. And then Bruce and I started following a directors forum on Facebook, on social media, and one of them is the SpongeBob and the directors that have done it before got the same kind of pushback that we've had from not only from the kids but from their community, And once they've done it, everybody realized that it was one of their most favorite shows. And so I'm like, how are people going to experience stuff if we don't give them that opportunity?
What are other directors and theater groups' reactions to SpongeBob the Musical?
They say it's a beast.
It's a beast. It's very hard. There's lots of things to do.
Technical,
Technically, props, costumes.
So
The
many
music
parts,
is
the harmony.
harder, harmony. But they continually, when we've looked into it, they
Every
say
single
they
one.
love it. They love it. They love it. It's one of the best musicals they've ever done.
One of their favorites.
One of their favorites. One of their students or actors' favorites.
And we're also getting that same feedback from other directors here in Cedar City that are like, I am so glad you're doing this
Yeah.
show. This is such a great show. People in St. George have just done it, and they have family members here in Cedar. They're like, I'm so glad you're doing this. This is such a great show.
Yeah.
So people that, directors are very accepting and excited about it.
What are some cool facts about the show?
Once again, for me, and I think I've already said this, the coolest thing for me as a director is I have so many specialty parts. Like when we do auditions, obviously there's only so many main parts we can give. There's only one SpongeBob, there's only one Sandy. And so we always mark kids that are, have done really great on their audition and are, marked for like a solo or a speaking part or something additional or extra. And this show, we had, I don't even know, we probably have 100 kids that had that star next to their name because we have talented kids. And every single one of them has some type of a special part. They're in a specialty dance, they're in a specialty number, they're in a specialty section.
They get a special character part,
whatever
they
it
get a
is.
solo.
Literally, I love that. Like we have rockfish, we have cowboy fish, we have the mob, we have pirates, we have dancers for Daddy Knows Best. I mean, there's just so many parts, and that is not always the case with our shows. And that's one of the things we try really hard is we really want every cast member, no matter if they're in the main cast or in their ensemble, to have multiple numbers that they can be in. I mean, it's not fun as a parent to go and see your kid for 3 seconds. We want them to at least be able to be on stage for 3 or 4 numbers. Every kid in SpongeBob is on for like 4 to 6 numbers. And that is so cool. I love
Another
that.
thing that's way awesome is the costumes.
Oh my gosh, the costumes
Because
are great.
they can be anything. And this year that was so exciting is we let the kids come in and choose their costumes. And the smiles on their face, the ownership that they take, having their own costume that they picked out that's totally
Unique for
them. And it works for this show.
Yeah.
Where some shows, they have to all
Has to
look
be
the
something
same,
specific.
And this is so perfect.
Other thing that I really like is a lot of musicals are written by 1 or 2 lyricists and a musician. So one's writing the piano, one's writing the actual vocals. This show, it's got lots of different artists. So there's this collaboration we talked about, earlier about community, and the community in general wrote this show with like John Legend and Sarah Bareilles.
Aerosmith,
yeah,
David
Steve
Bowie.
Tyler, David Bowie,
I mean,
Cyndi Lauper.
So
There's
different.
so
Famous
many different
names,
famous, yeah, and so they all come together and write different music and different songs for
and
the
that's
show.
why the styles are so different, and that is what makes it
Yeah.
so cool. It's totally different artists. I love that too.
What's your favorite part about the musical?
Different parts of the community, and they come together to create something that is so magical and impressive and awesome. And so I'm like, and then like even when we were talking about like the BFF and stuff, we have Robin and Dershea that are best friends, and they come in and they're like, just this camaraderie of everything about the show is just so cool.
Yeah, there's so many things. And I will say we're going to have some really cool projection and some effects that
Special effects
yeah,
that
like
are
some lighting
so
that's going to be
cool.
really neat. And
I mean, the nunchucks light up. I mean, how cool is that?
yeah, I mean, we always, I think every year, and I think Bruce does a great job with this, and like Ethan, but they always want to kind of do something different or cool, different than what we did the year before. And so we've got some really neat things planned for the staging and the proscenium, and so gonna have to come to see it because it's gonna be fantastic.